Hi folks, it's Matt here, and this is a big warm welcome to the MSc Digital Marketing students who are covering content media management. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little whistle-stop tour of what this is all about, because that's what most people are obviously asking, and it's a big introduction. Actually, it's a bigger introduction than I would normally have, because it illustrates a number of things, as you'll find out. So what am I talking about? Well, let's have a look and see. Okay, what we're talking about, as you see here, is obviously content media management, and it's primarily delivered by me, and really we're all about taking you on this journey. Now, when we talk about taking a journey, what do we really mean? Well, this journey illustrates a lot of things, because clearly everybody thinks it's like what you see here with the little minion, getting all the hearts and all the content. It's all about the love of content and content creation, isn't it? Well, it is, but it's also not, because the clue is actually in the title here. I'm going to take your brain skydiving, as I say, because content media management also involves this other term, management. Now, when you talk about content or creative content, and you talk about management, these two things fundamentally clash, and it should get us thinking. Now, more importantly, what it really does is it gives us time to pause and to think, first and foremostly, because surely, as of right now, we're in time for change. We need to change, and digital marketing shows us that we need to change. Why? Well, because we now live in this new world or age of acceleration, as I argue, and not only do we need to have new content for how we live and how we work, or all those businesses, because they need to go up and become digital, but also how we learn. We have to change how we educate. So content media management actually, both practically and theoretically and philosophically, actually shows us this whole process functioning at the same time. So content media management really demonstrates what we call this accelerated and immersive educational approach full on. And it actually tells us a lot about content creation. Because what it does is it asks us all this question: what is the future of business? But not just as what is the future of business, what is the future of how we live, how we work, and how we learn? And more importantly, what is the future of you and how human beings are changing, and how digital, social, and transformational technologies are changing them? So, we tend to talk about this. We talk about visual, how things have to be visual, how content has to be vibrant, and how it has to be viral. Also, we see this at the actual classroom, because we're asking ourselves a question educationally here, is are we going to teach today or in the future with content or approaches that are basically the same ways we taught yesterday or our great grandparents were taught? Because fundamentally that's what we tend to get. Well, the answer is clearly no. That wouldn't work for any business, would it? So what we're looking for is something else. Radical. We need content that's radical. We need content that's applied, and we need content that's dynamic. And if we do that, not only educationally, but for a business or for anyone else, then you will literally bring it to life. And that's what you're going to do. But what do I mean by this radical, applied, and dynamic? Well, in content media management, we're going to look at things that are radical, because what they're going to do is they're going to pop your logic bubble. That's the world that you grew up in, the environment that you grew up in, from cradle through to the grave, how you've been taught, if you like, to think. And I'm going to introduce you to a whole series of theorists, critical theorists, who are actually going to challenge your world, hopefully, and get you to hopefully engage. And in so doing, what we're going to do is we're going to actually get you to see the world differently, to see it from another angle or 10. And as such, if you can see the world differently, then you can think differently. And if you can think differently, then you can do differently. And that means that you'll be able to create far more content for different businesses in the journey of your career, okay? And that'll give you a head start of everybody else, because you'll have a set of what we call creative and critical thinking capabilities that underpin content. Next, applied. What do you mean? Well, when we're talking about applied, basically think of a business. What we're going to do is we're going to take these critical ideas, and week on week we're going to try to think of different businesses, and we're going to try and apply them, whether it be an events and festivity, whether it be different content for tourism, or whether it be different content for a construction company, or even for retail and fashion. The key thing is we're going to come up with new types of content. What I mean, have a wee look at this. So you just heard me mention there the applications of different businesses, one of which was tourism. Well, here's a tourism example. This is the 360 of Arran, as you can see it whizzing behind me here. And all of these points that you see, there's information points there, and you see names. We start off at the top of a mountain, as you can see, and then you click and you go through to some other destination within the whole island of Arran. Now this could be anywhere in the world, and there's information there, as you can see, and there's hyperlinks in there, and there's information, and there's things that you can basically engage with, and hopefully that will be available virally across the whole world so that people can either engage with in a 360 context, virtual reality sense, whether it be on a screen like you've got, so they can look around the screen, or if they've got a headset, they can go in and they can literally feel as if they're teleported, that they're actually present. And what you're going to find is every week, or most weeks, I'm going to provide you with a different context like these, and we're going to use that to hopefully try and get us to think about how we would create creative content for these contexts. Okay, anyway, let's jump back for the last wee bit. Okay, and you're back, eh? So lastly, what we're going to do here is when we talk about being radical, we talk about being applied, the last thing is we want it to be dynamic. And that means about you being active, you actually helping to create content in the classroom week after week, hopefully day after day, so that the content that you can produce with these critical ideas will allow you to understand at the end how you've developed a critical thinking skill set and a practical content creation skill set that you can apply to literally anybody. And that's really what content media management is about. Other than, lastly, I suppose, is to understand that we actually live in this issue of the empowered prosumer, and that the whole job of creating content is to understand them, and in order to do that you need to critically engage. Okay, so without further ado, welcome to CMM. Your brain's going skydiving. Should be fun. Thanks for watching.